Welcome to Tabletop Tactics. Coming up on today's show.
Suffer not the unclean to live. You must uphold the honor of the Emperor. You must abhor the witch. You must destroy the witch. And you must accept any challenge, no matter the odds. It's the Black Templars!
It's a thing of beauty.
Oh, it's so cool!
We've just been screaming about this.
It has arrived! Thank you, Games Workshop, for sending us the box early for review for you lovely lot at home. We will aim to get a game out for you as soon as we physically can, but this is what we could do in the time frame that we had. So watch this space, there is a game coming, have no fear.
And no mercy.
Unlike your enemies should have. Now, I want to point out something very, very cool here, because one, obviously this is the very classical artwork, as many Black Templar players will know from the 3rd edition. This box, to me, makes me feel like I'm 11 years old again, because it is the original artwork on the box as it was on the 3rd edition starter set, which is what I got into 40k with. So that, to me, the fact that it's on the box itself is really, really nice. So yeah, it's really good. It's very pleasant, and I like it a lot. So today what we're going to do is get a box back inside its sleeve. We're going to talk about just some of the various little tweaks and updates that the Black Templars have received. This isn't going to be a full top 5 units, because there's only like 6, or top 5 changes because a lot of this stuff is brand new, or top 5 combos because we've only just got it and reading it all is difficult. So we're going to go through a bit of a rundown of some of the things within the book itself. And we will start, of course, with the Vows of the Templars. So this is effectively your super doctrine, guys. So Knights of Sigismund is gone. Kind of. It's still here, but it's a vow now. And what you do is you choose these at the beginning of the game, after you sort of like done your mission, but before you've deployed.
At the end of the read mission briefing step.
Yeah. So yeah. So effectively before you've determined all your deployments and stuff, you pick a vow. That vow will apply to your army for the rest of the game.
Yes.
There are very few ways to manipulate these. So there's a litany, which we'll cover in a minute, and sword brethren can affect it in some certain ways. So once you're kind of there, you have stuck to that vow, which is very thematic for the Templars.
Yeah.
And each one has a vow and a passion. The passion is the bad thing, because you're so enamored with doing your vow that you do have a downside, which is really, really cool to me, because I love it when there's both a positive and a negative effect. And it really harkens back to the old school format of the Black Templars, which was they had some strengths, but some very powerful buffs, but also the downsides, and the vows kind of always exemplified that. So why don't we have a look at the vows themselves? So
the first vow that we will look at is suffer not the unclean to live.
Yes.
Oh, try and contain your excitement.
Impossible.
So the vow for this is each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack against a non-vehicle, unmodified hit rolls of 6 automatically wound.
Yeah. So it's essentially Knights of Sigismund, but now it's active outside of the Assault Doctrine, and it works against monsters.
That's nice.
Which is good.
Yes.
So the only thing that it won't help you with is vehicles, but fine, okay.
It's one tiny little, who cares about vehicles?
But what's the downside?
The downside to the passion. Each time this unit is selected to charge the closest enemy non-aircraft that is within 12 inches and not within engagement range of any other Black Templar units from your army must be declared a target of that charge.
Yeah.
So you have to charge the closest.
You have to declare, if you're going to charge something, you have to declare a charge on the closest unit as well, as long as they're not already fighting a Black Templars unit. So it's old school rage.
I love it so much. It's so cool.
Look, so it's a really nice vow, because it will make your melee a bit more reliable. Obviously not so useful if you're coming up against knights, for example. But yeah, overall it's a good all-rounder sort of vow to take. The next one is my favorite, however.
Oh, uphold the honor of the Emperor.
His honor must be upheld. He can't do it himself. He's on the golden toilet.
It was so cool. You ruined it. The vow of this is that models in each unit have a 5-up invuln save. They also, each time an attack is made against this unit, an unmodified wound roll of a 1 to 2 fails, irrespective of any abilities.
So I get a 5-up invuln.
Yep.
And that's all the time.
Yep.
And I get baby transhuman.
Yes, you do. Indeed.
Even if I'm not Primaris.
Yes, you do.
Okay. And this applies to, and bear in mind as well that the vows apply, because it's your super doctrine, it applies to everything with the combat doctrine rules. So that means your vehicles will have a 5-up invuln. Means your toughness 4 guys meet strength 8, they go, don't care. Freeze to wound me. So what's the downside?
The downside, each time an enemy model makes an attack against this unit, the unit does not receive the benefits of cover.
Whatever, I have a 5-up invuln, I don't care.
Yeah.
Now, there will be times where getting light cover will, of course, be better than a 5-up invuln. However, I would argue that there's so much AP in the game right now that it really doesn't.
Yeah.
And getting that 5-up invuln in combat, ooh, okay. 5-up invuln on vehicles, okay.
Ooh, yeah.
You also won't get the benefit of dents. So that is one to, yeah, because it says you don't get the benefit of cover, not the benefit of cover to your saving throw.
Yes.
Nor will you get the benefit of heavy cover in melee. Again, it will depend on what you're facing. Remember, you will see your opponent's list before you make your vows.
That's what's cool about these, is you can choose them
I'm pretty sure you will.
situationally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know, if you go, I'm up against a bunch of AP free stuff, well, that means that the cover would only give me a 5-up save on my power armor anyway. I'll probably leave it. If you're running a bunch of blade guard, you probably don't care about a 5-up invuln. The mini transhuman's nice, but the cover save in the dents is probably more beneficial for you. You have options, right? Which is nice. What's the next one?
The next one, Abhor the Witch and Destroy the Witch.
It must be destroyed.
So the vow is that the vow is that once per battle in your first movement phase, and if there are any enemy psychic units in your opponent's army until the end of the phase, add 3 inches to the move characteristic of your models. Okay.
So that's a 9-inch move marine.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You also, each time a model in this unit makes melee attack against a psychic unit, you reroll once. It's your entire army.
That's pretty good. Now, again, situational, because you might not play anyone with a Psyker.
Yes.
You might have a single Psyker. You might be playing Thousand Sons of Grey Knights.
It would be very useful.
There's a lot of really cool tricks that you can do with this as well, because remember that everything will have the vow and everything gets the 3-inch movement. So let's say you had a unit of, I don't know, Blade Guard in an Impulsor. That Impulsor that's just moved 17 inches, and then you've disembarked 3, and then you've moved 9 inches, and you can't charge. But you're literally just going, hello, in your opponent's face.
Yeah.
So that could be a
Pretty
problem.
cool.
So there's some nice little tricks.
Yes, the passion for this is that while an enemy psychic unit is within 18 inches of you, you cannot perform actions.
Sure. Now, if you're taking this,
Yes.
you're probably not going to be taking action-based secondaries. So
easy way to get around it.
if you do, you knew what you were getting into.
Yeah, reevaluate your life choices at that stage.
Yes. So what is the 4th and final vow?
Accept any challenge, no matter the odds. I think that one sounds the coolest, to be honest. I like a good challenge.
Yeah.
Yes, so the vow for this is while this unit is within engagement range of any enemy units, if a combat doctrine is active for your army, this unit gains the bonus of the assault doctrine instead of the combat doctrine that is active.
Very nice.
You also get, each time you fight, until the fight is resolved, add 1 to the attacks. It's not cumulative to the additional attack gained by the shock assault, but it's +1 attack.
Yeah. So effectively, everyone's shock assault is going to be always active.
Yes.
Is the way to read that. The always being in assault doctrine is very cool because it is specifically when you're in engagement range. Now, that's really quite nice because you are generally going to want to soften up some stuff with shooting anyway. And basically being able to be in Devastator Doctrine, and if someone decides to get you in combat, you're still better in combat. Same with turns 2. You can effectively be in Tactical Doctrine all the way up to turn 3.
Yeah.
You might not need to be, but there's literally, I mean, outside of the passion, there's no downside to staying in Tactical Doctrine until turn 3 now with Black Templars, because you're effectively getting your Assault Doctrine on top of everything else. It's not the flashiest because prolonged combats aren't necessarily the best thing for Marines, but it's nice to have that extra attack to kind of bust your way through. And it does tie in nicely with your passion, which is you can't fall back.
Yeah.
Now that could be a problem, because you do have to be careful with that, because there will be times where you go, falling back is the tactically prudent move.
But you can't.
But you won't be allowed to. So something to be wary. That's probably the one with the biggest risk reward to me. The things like not getting the dense and light and heavy cover is obviously going to be matchup dependent. That's down to you to look at as to whether that's going to be more beneficial than a 5-up invuln. The suffering not the unclean, and getting the 6s to auto wound, but you have to charge the closest. Well, if that was your game plan anyway,
you would be making you're keeping that in mind with your movement, and you can
and given that Templars have
it.
and given that Templars have reroll advance and charge rolls innately, great, right? And obviously, you just don't pick action-based secondaries if you're fighting Thousand Suns and you take Abhor the Witch. Because you know what you're going to do. You're going to take Abhor the Witch and Abhor the Witch, because you still can't take Psychers. So I really like the Vows. I love the fact that there is a downside to them, because it just makes it really, really thematic. Yeah. They're all quite niche, but you have a little bit of flexibility with them. So they are a nice from me.
It's a cool mechanic. I approve.
Yeah. Let's talk stratagems. They are made of black currants. Stratagems.
Tasty, tasty stratagems. Do not leave home without it. They are crucial to your battle plans.
They are, yes. So much like the other supplements that you obviously have the normal Space Marine ones, as well as 2 pages of your own.
Yes.
3 of them are your standard, give a sergeant a relic. Give a guy an extra warlord trait. There's a really cool one, Champion of the Feast, which allows you to pick a sergeant. They become the champion of the feast. Funny cool. That. They get +1 attack and wound and weapon skill. On a Blade Guard veteran, ooh, baby. Oh, baby.
That's really nice.
You do that. Now, you can't, it specifically says not on a character, it has to be a sergeant or sword brother. So, yeah, on a Blade Guard veteran, on a Terminator.
It's going to be really nice.
Dash Nash. And then, of course, you have your other stratagem. So Devout Push is still here. It is not as janky as it was. Kel Surprise, anyone that was expecting it to stay the same, come on now. Effectively, you pick 1 core or character unit from your army. It's 1 CP. If you're not within engagement range, you make a normal move of 3 inches. So you cannot use it to push yourself into engagement range anymore. Yeah. If you are already in engagement range, you can immediately pile in. You have to declare it at the start of the fight phase. Now, it is still useful because you can use it to move on to objectives or to threaten, to block and stuff. It has to specifically move towards the closest enemy unit or closer to the closest objective marker. So you can use it to move backwards, which is nice.
Again, using it to get onto objectives.
Yes, but you can't use it to make really janky charges from impulsors anymore. Good. It was stupid like that. It was really weird. No. The next one is Vicious Riposte. Again, slightly different. Effectively, you pick a core unit at the start of your fight phase, and then if they die, on a 5-up, you do a mortal wound back, but it is capped at 6. Fine. It's okay. Yeah. It's handy to have.
Yeah, it's only 1 command point, so...
If you're fighting something where you're not expecting the unit to survive, fine. Next one is Crusader's Wrath. This is your fairly standard, if you're in the Assault Doctrine, you can do 6s explode into an additional AP, which stacks with the Assault Doctrine, whatever. You're not paying 2 CP for it. I don't think I've ever seen anyone ever use these stratagems for any Space Marine army, but fine.
It is time to change that.
Maybe, maybe. The weird thing with that is obviously that will not stack with Suffer Not the Unclean, because unmodified hit rolls of 6 do not become an unmodified wound roll of 6, so just something to be aware of.
Keep that in mind.
You have for the Emperor's Honor, a character, specifically a character. This is similar to the Sisters one and the Blood Angels one. Basically, you throw down the gauntlet, issue a challenge, an enemy character can only attack your character.
That's cool.
Provided that they're in engagement range, like which is really cool. But it is specifically character on character. Now, they have to allocate all of their attacks. They can't like do one at a time until they die, because obviously remember that that's how it works. So if you've got, say, a unit in combat with like a demon prince, you could just go, me and you, we're going to have it. And if he kills your character, fine, he's died for the glory of the emperor, so it doesn't matter.
The rest of the units are safe.
Next one is Bombastic Delivery, which is for chaplains. It is 2 CP. You use it in the command phase when you select them to recite a litany. It's automatically inspiring, and you can do an additional one this phase. So this will not stack with Commanding Oratory. Yeah. Because that specifically says if you've not recited any. However, what it does effectively allow you to do is a Master of Sanctity can do 3 litanies.
That's really cool.
Which is pretty nice, right? As well as, because you know that it's automatically going to go off, it is 2 CP, so it's the same as Commanding Oratory, but you can effectively go, I need 2 litanies to go off. Cool, you've got the, if you've got the CP, you can do it. Yep, Abhor the Witch. There's a lot of abhorration in here. Yes, I abhor the existence of everything that is unclean. So this is in your opponent's psychic phase. After a psychic test is passed, it's essentially you get a 4-up deny if they're within 24 inches of any Black Templars units from your army. Fairly standard, yeah. You're fairly standard on a 4-up deny. What's the next one? We've got... Tenacious Assault. Ah, yes. Use this stratagem when an enemy infantry or beast unit is within engagement range of any Black Templars unit. If they're selected to fall back on a 4-up, they cannot fall back. Yes, so this is significantly different to the current version, previous version, because it used to be on a 2-up. Okay. But, I mean, it's still, you have a 50-50 chance to really ruin your opponent's like game plan, especially on certain units that do not want to be in combat. So that's a nice one. And then you have Strength of Conviction. Oh, this is a really good one. Oh, it's really good. Use it in your command phase. You select 1 Black Templars core unit from your army. Until the start of your next command phase. They gain objective secured. Blade Guard, Terminators, Dreadnoughts. Now remember, it is command phase, so if they're inside a transport, not this turn, but you can use that to turn the tide of a engagement very quickly just by going, I'm OBSEC now. Try and shift me. Next one down is Emperor's Will. This one is different to... This is different? Yep, this is different because now it is you can advance and shoot with your rapid fire and assault weapons without penalty. Yes. You do not get to charge anymore. No, it is just advancing and shooting. Yes. So effectively, I mean, your pistols and rapid fires become assault weapons and your assault weapons ignore minuses. It's nice. It's not as good as it was because it enabled you to advance and charge. It's only 1 CP. Don't know whether it's going to get much use. You then have Shock and Awe. So in your movement phase, you select 1 Black Templars Land Raider Crusader model from your army that made a normal move. Units inside it can disembark but cannot move again. So you can move and then disembark. Okay. Yet to charge though. You do, because you cannot be selected to move again this phase, so you can charge. Oh, the Crusader. You then have Exemplars of the Crusade. So you select, in the start of the fight phase, or just in the fight phase actually, you select 1 Sword Brethren unit from your army until the end of the phase. Each time a model makes a melee attack, unmodified 6s explode. Yeah, for 1 CP on a unit of Sword Brothers, that's nice. It's very nice. It's very cheeky. So then we have Heretic's Pyre. So it costs 1 command point unless you are using the Mark 10 Gravis. Yeah. You use this at the start of your shooting phase. You select a core unit from your army, and until the end of the phase, each time a flame weapon targets a unit between 6 and 10 models, it makes a minimum of 3 attacks. If it targets a unit that has 11 or more, maximum attacks. Your flame weapons get blast. Yeah. That's nice. Which is really good. Yeah. It's an interesting one. It might not come up all that often, but it's nice to have. Yeah. It's handy to have. The final one, Incendiary Shells, is, I mean, it's one of those ones where you look at it and you go, it's kind of cool, but I mean, you could. Is it really going to, you're really going to use it? Yeah. You can make your shotguns damage 2. Okay. You make a unit shotguns damage 2, so that's your scouts. Or your neophytes. You might see it on the neophytes, but I mean, they're still like strength 4, AP 0, damage 2 for 1 CP. I'll save the CP for something else. Like making my Blade Guard OBSEC. You really like that one, huh? That's really good. Like really making anything OBSEC is really, really strong. Yeah, being able to make it on tap is very good. Yeah. So those are the stratagems. So there are a few significant changes there. Next up will be the Litanies of the Devout, because you don't have psychers, but you get your own litany table.
And here we will start with the Litany of Divine Protection. Very simple, you choose a core or character unit within 6 inches and they get a 5 up for an IP.
Yeah. Against everything rather than your normal 5 up against mortal wounds. Nice to have, right?
Yeah, it's handy. Then you have Psalm of Remorseless Persecution. I was going to say righteous persecution. Well, it's both.
Psalm of Remorseless Persecution.
Which is unmodified wound rolls of 6 with melee attacks. Do mortal wounds in addition, capped at 6. Again, 6 inches, you can only put it on core units.
Yeah. That is specifically core. That's an interesting one. That's one of the only ones that doesn't work on a character.
Yes.
That is the only one that doesn't work on a character. I didn't notice that. That is interesting.
Well, I did.
Well done.
Thank you.
I mean,
very
you're
much.
realistically not going to do 6 mortal wounds with a character anyway. It would have been nice, especially if you're in a challenge.
Oh!
If you're just... Next.
Plea of Deliverance. It's the same as your sisters. It's again within 6 inches, character or core, turn off psychic powers for a unit, and they cannot be affected by psychic powers.
Yeah, nice if you're up against your Thousand Suns, or if there's like a Doom floating around, you can just go,
I do not wish to be doomed. In fact, it is your doom.
ah, the Doom has flipped on its head. It is now mood. It's a mood.
Mood. Moving on to Fires of Devotion. Again, core character within 6 inches, +1 to their attacks if the first round of combat.
Yeah, so if they've charged, heroically intervened, or been charged, you can give them +1 attack. Great on any unit, really, but obviously not so useful if you're in an ongoing round of combat, because it just won't do anything.
Yeah, it's literally pointless.
Yes.
But Fervent Acclamation is not. Do you want to tell me what that one does? Because I know you like it.
Okay, so Fervent Acclamation will give you the effect of a vow that is not in effect. So you know how I said that there was ways to sort of manipulate the vows? This is one of them. This will stack with your existing vow. However, you must be wary because the passion will come into effect as well. The unit gains the effect of the vow. The wording under the Templar vows is very clear, is whilst you are under the effect of a vow, you are under the effect of the passion. You do not just get the vow bit. So if anyone says otherwise, they're wrong and they're cheating. So you have to be careful because you could end up being in like a really, really awkward spot where you go, I don't get the benefits of cover and I have to charge, but I don't want to do that. But also I'm really scary. So it can be quite nice to have. What's the final one?
The final one is Oath of Glory, which gives you your Super Priest.
Super Priest.
So he gets he gets Fight First, he gets 1 to his Strength characteristic, and when he makes an attack with his Crozius Arcanium or Artificia Crozius, or a relic that replaces one of them, unmodified hit rolls of 6 scores 2 additional hits. So extra explodey.
He's an explodey boy.
Super Priest.
The Litanies of the Devout are instead of your normal Litanies of Faith. You cannot have the 2 of them concurrently. I don't believe there's a way in normal games for you to have like 1 Litany of the Faith and a Litany of the Devout. So no, you cannot take Oath of Glory and Mantra of Strength and make a super duper mega super duper Chaplain.
I want to.
I know you want to, but you can't. The Litanies of the Devout, given that you can't take Librarians, maybe 2 Chaplains is worth it. 1 for Litanies of Devout, 1 for Litanies of the Faith, because Litanies of the Faith are really good. You still keep the Litany of Hate, so you still get your reroll bubble, but you won't get access to things like Canticle of Hate, which can be really important, as well as Catechism of Hate. Or Catechism of Fire, you know, the pluses to hit and wound and stuff. So you have to kind of think carefully about which of the litany tables you want to take. I do quite like the Litanies of the Devout, but given that they're all on 1 unit, rather than like auras, you've got to be very selective with your sort of army build. And realistically, I'm gonna go for the Litany of Divine Protection in pretty much every. That 5-up shrug is really good.
It's always going to be useful in some way.
That will always. You could take Plea of Deliverance and not come up against Psychers. Great. You could take the Psalm of Remorseless Persecution and not roll any 6s to wound. I mean, the irony is, of course, you might not roll any 5s to shrug, but you're making a unit even tougher, so that's always going to be useful. They're an interesting one. I like them. They're very flavorful. Are they better than the Litanies of Faith? It will depend on your army build, quite frankly, but we will see. Warlord time. You have 6. There's a shock.
Wow.
Yeah. The first one is epitome of piety. You can deny as if you're a psychic and you get +1 to deny. Fine.
Situational.
Not that interesting compared to some of the others.
Yeah. Such as Paragon of Fury, which I really like because I think it's really cool. You, after you finish a charge move, you add 1 to your strength. And you roll a d6 for each enemy model in engagement range, and on a 5+ you do a mortal wound. And can I just say it's not capped?
It's not capped. Now it is enemy models within
Yes.
engagement range, it's only on a 5+,
Yes.
but on something like a Primaris Chaplain. Handbrake turn. Now I'm going to point out a quirk here.
Okay.
Expect this to be FAQ'd. It says after this Warlord finishes a charge move, add 1 to his strength characteristic.
Right.
Doesn't say that that gets turned off or that lasts for the turn.
So
if you make multiple charges, your strength, you just get angrier and angrier.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's probably gonna
I actually don't know whether that's intended or not.
We'll see, I guess.
We'll find out. For now, rules as written, yes. The second time you make a charge, you've added another strength. It doesn't say it goes away.
Powering up.
So maybe it is intended, but expect to see an FAQ confirming that. Because, yeah, frankly, I'm not sure. I kind of like the idea with it because the flavour of it is the hatred for the heretic and the unbeliever burns with the fury of a newborn star. And he's like, he just goes between combats just getting angrier and angrier.
That sounds absolutely amazing.
So like, I kind of, you know, if
I like the fluff of it.
yeah, if someone was to say like, oh, should we play it like it stacks? I'd be like, yeah, because it's really cool. Yeah, so that's nice. The next one is Master of Arms. This is a very, very nice, simple one. +1 attack at all times, and you always strike first. Perfection for a combat character, which if you're running Black Templars, you almost certainly have, right? What's the next one?
The next one is an aura, and it is Inspirational Fighter. So while friendly core units are within 6 inches of your Warlord, every time they make a melee attack, unmodified wound rolls of 6 increase the AP by 1. And it is cumulative with a bonus gain from the Assault Doctrine.
Yeah, that's actually a really nice ability. So now you could, in theory, be in the Assault Doctrine, have that, and use the Crusader's Wrath, and then you go on 6s to wound, you are minus, like, 3 on top of your already existing minuses, and Lawrence starts crying because flesh terrors are rubbish. Obviously, you're spending CP and a Warlord trait on it, so it's not quite like that. But yeah, as a general one, that's pretty useful,
cool.
right? The next one is Frontline Commander. +1 advance and charge rolls to your Warlord, and provided that he is in engagement range, all Black Templar units, or all Black Templar core units get +1 to charge that enemy unit. Okay, the +1 advance and charge for himself is good. The +1 to charge is nice. It's very thematic. I would probably lean towards some of the other ones, quite frankly.
The final one is Oathkeeper. Your Warlord is eligible to perform heroic interventions within 6 inches horizontally and 5 inches vertically, and they can make heroic intervention moves of 6 inches instead of 3.
Okay, it's fine. Whatevs.
It's there.
Yeah,
it's
there. I think for me, Master of Arms or Inspirational Fighter are the top 2 picks there.
Yep.
I like Paragon of Fury, and you know what I would probably do? I would use the stratagem of Heir of Sigismund, which allows you to put a Black Templars trait on someone, and I'd give them both. I fight first, I get +1 attack, and every time I charge, I get angrier, and I shoulder barge you out my way.
You know what? That sounds like a fantastic idea.
It's going to be a fun time for everyone involved, except for the heretics. The Relics of the Crusade. There are many.
Fitting.
There are many. They must be retrieved from the vaults and used to smite the enemies of the Emperor. You have your standard Specialist Wargear, your Artificer Armor, your Mastercrafted Weapon, your Adamantine Mantle, and your digital weapons. Whatever. You don't care about them. You care about the cool stuff. So there's things like Witch Seeker Bolts to shoot at Psykers and do mortal wounds to them. Fine. The Aurelian Shroud's nice. Core Infantry can get a 4-up in bun if they're within 3 inches once per game.
Please, can I say it?
You may say it.
The Skull of Cacodominus!
The Skull of the Cacodominus. The Psychic Alien Skull.
Yes.
It's an aura of, you know, poor Psychers. You explode on doubles.
Goodbye.
Fine. There's a few really nice ones I like. One of my favourites is the Aquila Immortalis. Yes. It's a really simple relic. +1 toughness in attacks. Done.
Nice.
Great. But I'm now going to combine that with my Warlord traits and just be a really beefy boy.
I like the Sword of Judgment.
The Sword of Judgment.
So this will replace a Mastercrafted Power Sword, or a Relic Blade, plus 3 strength, minus 3 AP, and 3 damage.
The free freeze.
Yes.
Again, nice and simple, but
perfect trifecta
nice.
of doom and destruction.
Yeah. The next one that I like is Tannhauser's Bones.
Yes.
Each time an attack is allocated to the bearer, the damage becomes 1. Was that Mortarion? It's damage 1. Was that Volcano Cannon? Damage 1.
Say no.
I said no.
Will you say no to the Crusader's Helm, though?
No, because it's pretty good.
Yes, you absolutely cannot. So you'll add 3 inches to the range of your bearer's aura abilities, to a maximum of 9. In your command phase, select one friendly Black Templars core unit within 9 inches. Until the start of your next command phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, the Assault Doctrine is considered to be active.
Yeah, so this is replacing like your Tactical Doctrine or your Devastator Doctrine. Always useful to have that ability to turn on your preferred doctrine. But remember, it's not quite as important for Templars because they don't have a super doctrine like Blood Angels or Space Wolves where they get another bonus in the Assault Doctrine. So all that will give you is that extra AP. So it's good. I don't know if you are going to want it as much as you perhaps previously did, or if that existed in, say, the Space Wolves, for example. For me, yeah, there's some nice relics, and obviously these are all on top of your normal Space Marine ones. Yeah, Aquila Immortalis or the Tannhauser's Bones to make you a really nice, tough characters good, but you can do some offensive stuff as well. So the Relic Bearers are in your normal units. It can incidentally be any model in the unit. It doesn't have to be the Sergeant, but you're probably going to put it on a Sergeant because that's cool. And you do need a Chaplain to take these because obviously he's the one that carries the key to unlock the vault. He's not going to give that key to you unless he's watching you carry it around and going, look, I want it back.
Is that what he does? He's like a little supervisor.
Yeah, he's just like.
Has he got a little key chain?
I've got to get it back for the next guy that's got it booked. You know, so
keychain clip to his belt.
Can we hurry it along? These are all cheap. They're either 10, 15, or 20 points.
There's only one that's 20 points though.
And there's only one that's 20 points. The majority are 15. You've got a couple which are 10. Some of them are meh. Light of the Emperor's Grace. Your +1 leadership to the models in the unit and enemy psychers within 12 or -1 psychic tests. Fine. It's only 10 points. It's situational.
Yeah.
The next one's real nice though.
So this is Sigmund Seal. This is your only one, which is 20 points. So at the beginning of the first battle round, you do select one enemy unit on the battlefield.
Yes.
They do have to be on the battlefield.
It does, yes.
Until the end of the battle, each time you make a melee attack against that unit, you re-roll the hit rolls and win rolls.
Yeah, you're going to pop that on your Sergeant of Blade Guard, aren't you? And just go, you see that unit there? Delete it.
Goodbye.
The Holy Orb! It makes a glorious return from its previous incarnations. So once per battle, in the shooting phase, you pick an enemy unit that is visible and within 6 inches. You roll a d6 on a 2+, they take d3 mortal wounds. And until the end of the turn, they fight last.
Nice. That's really cool.
You know how many points that is? 15. 15 points to do mortal wounds and invoke a strike last. Now it is in your shooting phase, but it's not a shooting attack, so you can do it before or after you've advanced. You can do it if you're in melee. Nice. You just go bloop, and you get splashed with holy water and you go, I'm melting, I'm melting.
Yes, you definitely would melt.
I would melt, I am a vampire.
I was going to say demon, but okay.
Yes.
So
what's the next one?
The next one is the Crux Obsidian.
Okay.
So this is each time an attack is allocated to your model, subtract 1 from the damage to a minimum of 1.
Sure. Okay, this is an interesting one because remember that the minute that you allocate damage to a model, you have to allocate everything to them. It is 15 points, so it's not expensive, but it will depend on what and who you put it on. Again, you're generally looking at these going, I'm going to put them on Blade Guard, I'm going to put them on Terminators. Reducing damage by 1 is really nice, but a good opponent can bait that out. You know, here's my damage 2 weapons. I'll take it on the guy with -1 damage. Great, here's a bunch of damage 1 weapons anyway. Or a las cannon. You know, so you got to be careful with that one. I'm not too sold on it. The next one is a fantastic upgrade for your Terminators or a Sword Brother who carries a Power Fist. Because do you like a Power Fist that doesn't have a -1 to hit?
Heck yeah, we do.
That's the Fist of Balthus for you.
Nice.
Would you like a Power Fist that's also damage free? The Fist of Balthus has you covered. Yeah, it's
only 10 points. Fist of Balthus. is only 10 points.
Oh, I thought that was a 15 pointer. There you go. If you've got a guy with a power fist, give him the Fist of Balthus. Ignoring the -1 to hit is probably worth 10 points by itself and making it damage free as well. Nice.
Next one is Beast Pyre.
The Beast Pyre.
Sounds so good. So model with Flamer or Pyre Blaster only, and this replaces them. It is 15-inch range, Assault D6, Strength 6, AP -2, 1 damage, and it has Blast.
Okay.
And it auto hits.
Is it worth 10 points on top of the 5 or 10 points that you're paying for a Flamer or a Pyre Blaster anyway? AP2 is nice.
Yeah.
I don't know, not sold on that one. The Icon of Heinemann is nice. Each time an attack with an armor penetration characteristic of 1 or 2 is allocated to this model, it's reduced to 0. We've seen these a few times. It's 15 points. Again, it's going to depend on what and who you put it on. Yeah. You can put this on a sacrificial guy in a Sword Brothers unit or in a Blade Guard unit and go, yep, cool. You have to hit me with AP free, and then I'm going on to my 4-up button anyway. It's nice. You just need to be cagey with when you're allocating stuff to that unit, and a good opponent can kind of bait it out.
Yeah. The final one is then the Bones of Mordred, which is when you are making melee attacks. This model, with this model, unmodified wound rolls of 6 do a mortal wound in addition to normal damage.
It's only 10 points.
Yeah, it is.
It might be amazing. You might do like 5 mortal wounds with it, especially if you give it to a guy with lightning claws. You might do nothing. It's 10 points. It could be really useful. It could be quite... Like, all of these are fairly situational. The ones that aren't, for me, I would find a way to get the Holy Orb in every day of the week. Because that ability, even if it's once per game, to just go on a 2+, you're fighting last, is so powerful, it can really turn a game on its head. I will find 15 points for that, especially on a big combat unit, every day of the week.
Is it on a 2+ to fight last? It says the 2+ is for the mortal wounds.
Once per battle in your shooting phase, you select an enemy unit that is within 6 inches invisible to this unit. Bullet point 1, roll 1d6 on a 2+. It works. 15 points to make a unit once per game strike last. That's it. It's done. It's powerful. It's too powerful. The Holy Orb! The Holy Orb! I've calmed down.
You've returned.
A little bit. Look, the Holy Orb of Antioch, right? Well, because it was one of those things that I used to take every time when I had like my 4th edition Templars army. But like, what's your character carrying? Yeah, I've paid for a Holy Orb. Who else has got Holy Orb? Everyone. Everyone has a Holy Orb. It can only take 1 now, but okay, I'll take it. But we'll move on to more mundane stuff, like the chapter approved rules. So here's your set of secondaries. You get 3 secondaries. You have...
Is it mundane? Is it really mundane?
Yes.
When I can issue a challenge.
Go on then. Go on
I'm
then.
I'm really excited about this because I think it's really cool because I am an aggressive little what's it. We know
you
it's
are
true.
a small ginger Cheeto. For our American viewers, what's-its are basically Cheetos.
Yes. So purge the enemy. Bathe your blade in the blood of your foe. I want to do that. I want to.
But you
bathe
personally?
my blade. Yes.
In real life?
Oh yes, I do. Please, that's sarcasm. I'm not actually a murderous human being. So for this one, at the start of your first command phase, you must select 1 Black Templars character from your army to issue the challenge, and your opponent then gets to select a character to accept the challenge. If you don't have a character, they have to select their Warlord. You score 5 victory points at the end of the battle for each of the following conditions that were achieved. The model that accepted the challenge was destroyed. The model that accepted the challenge was destroyed with a melee attack. The model that accepted the challenge was destroyed in melee attack by your character that issued the challenge. That's really cool, and I want to do it.
Yeah, so I mean, we've seen that before in Space Wolves and Blood Angels.
Yes, but
they're not. It's not the most interesting or viable.
It's fun.
But it is a lot of fun.
It's fun. This is meant to be a game for fun.
It's a lot of fun.
I want to have fun.
The next one. So I'm going to throw this out here now, guys. You probably won't be using any of these. They're not great. The next one is Battlefield Supremacy. Allow not the worship of unclean idols. Yeah. You score 4 victory points at the end of the battle round if you control an objective marker that your opponent was controlling at the start of the battlefield, and a Black Templars Chaplain is within range of that objective marker. Well, as soon as you lose a Chaplain, you can't do it.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah.
You have to wipe your enemy off an objective.
Or at least move an obsec unit onto it and take it back.
And have the chaplain enrich.
Yeah. So what if your chaplain don't make that charge? Okay, well then tough. Shame. The next one is no mercy, no respite. Carry out your vows.
So this is
I do quite like this one.
Yeah. It's an interesting one because it does follow on more from the vows.
Yeah.
Because actually what you have to do is dependent on which vow you've taken.
Yes. So this is a two-parter, very much like Raise the Banners. You have a progressive and an end game component. The progressive component, you get 4 victory points at the end of each battle round if the number of enemy units destroyed by melee attacks made by Black Templars units is greater than the number of Black Templars units destroyed in general that battle round. You can only score 12 victory points for this component. Tough one because you might kill 3 in melee, but your opponent killed 3 in shooting. Well, it's not greater, so tough. You lose out on your 4 victory points. I'm not a fan of it. Yeah. It's a shame. I'm not a fan of it because it's melee only. Fine. The end game components is dependent on your vows. So depending on which vow you picked, it will give you the ability to score 3 victory points at the end of the game. Yeah. Most of these are a lot easier to do, although some of them are a bit tricky than others. So suffer not the unclean to live. The enemy warlord has to have been destroyed by a melee attack made by a Black Templars character.
You have to really work to set something like that up.
You've got to work for that one. You've got to really work for that one. Uphold the honor of the Emperor. A Black Templars infantry unit, but not characters, has to be...
in your enemy deployment zone at the end of the battle, but not below half strength.
So not below half strength. Doesn't have to be wholly within the deployment zone.
Just within.
But has to be a non-character infantry that's basically above half. Again,
it's going to be quite
that's tricky to do because, as we know, everything just dies in 9th edition at the moment. So, again, not sold. Yeah. Abhor the Witch, Destroy the Witch is much easier. You kill a Psyker character.
That's it. That's all you need to do.
You get 3 victory points.
Very nice.
My counter argument to that is just take Uphold the Witch. Now, they stack because they're separate secondary categories, but fine. And then accept any challenge no matter the odds. A enemy model with 20 or more wounds or an enemy unit with a starting strength of 20 or more has to have been destroyed during the battle. That can be from shooting.
Yeah, so it's less restrictive.
But also highly matchup dependent.
Yeah.
All of those are matchup dependent.
Indeed.
I'm not going to take that one. No. As cool as it is, I'm probably not going to take it. I'll definitely take them for, like, any of those I'll take for fun. Yeah. In terms of like competitive viability, you're going for oaths of moment, really, which is a pity. Datasheets. So there's a couple of things here. So the Marshal and the Castellan are not unit entries. They are a captain and a lieutenant, respectively. So a Marshal is any Primaris captain.
Yeah.
Well, a Marshal is any captain and a Castellan is any lieutenant or lieutenant, however it was.
It's meant to be lieutenant if you're English.
It's lieutenant if you're English. The French loan word that is pronounced the French way in the English language, except the French don't pronounce it as lieutenant. So any captain or any lieutenant is going to be those, but specifically a Primaris captain as a Marshal gets extra Wargear options, which is what's on the sprue, and a Castellan, which is a Primaris lieutenant, gets extra Wargear options, which is on his sprue, right? That big, fat, chunky boy.
He's so precious.
Where is that chonker?
Show us the chonk.
Chunky boy.
I have observed the chonk.
Oh Lord, he comes. Oh Emperor, he comes. So Primaris captains can take a Mastercrafted Power Sword and an Auto Flamer. It's an Auto Bolt Rifle with an Underslung Flamer. Yeah. Very nice. Or an Auto Flamer and a Power Axe that is also Mastercrafted. Yes. Or it's a Plasma Pistol and the Mastercrafted Power Sword, or a Plasma Pistol and a Mastercrafted Power Axe. Basically, you have the option to take a Mastercrafted Power Sword and a Power Axe if you're on foot. And not in like Gravis armor and stuff like that, and you get some extra gun options. Fine. The Castellan, the fat boy, he can take a Combi Flamer and a Mastercrafted Power Axe, or he can take a Heavy Bolt Pistol and a Chainsword, Heavy Bolt Pistol, Mastercrafted Power Sword, Auto Plasma. So it's an auto bolt rifle with an underslung plasma gun, which is really cool. And also it's just auto plasma. And a Mastercrafted Power Sword or an Astartes Chainsword. you get some Wargear options. It's nice to have, right?
We like
In
options.
addition, you can put on a not sponson. What's it called when it's up here on like your turret?
I don't know. Why would I know that?
The extra stuff. Basically, instead of having a Iron Hail Heavy Stubber on your repulsors or your gladiators,
Yep.
you can have a multi-melter.
Hooray!
You just pay more points for it. The points are in the back.
More melter.
We will finish this exploration of this glorious tome with the datasheets. There's not too many. All the characters are really cool and have received updates. Let's have a look at them.
We will start with High Marshal Helbrecht.
Oh, he's a bad man.
He's so cool. I love him so much. So he is your Black Templars chapter master. He has 8 wounds and 6 attacks.
Beefy.
Very nice. He has some very cool weaponry. We will kick off with his gun. It is called Ferocity.
Ferocity.
It's so cool. So it's got 2 profiles, as pretty much everything does now. Bolt rifle. I mean,
it's true.
It's fair. 30 inches, rapid fire 2, strength 5, AP -1, 1 damage. And melter gun 12-inch, assault 1, strength 8, AP -4, D6 +2.
Yeah. So he has not only has he been Primarisified, his combi melter's been Primarisified. Yeah, I mean, an always on melter gun's nice.
That's really cool.
The bolt gun's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to have. But tell me about his sword.
His sword, the sword of the High Marshals.
Oh, yes.
Again, 2 profiles. He can use it one-handed, which is strength +2, so strength 6,
Okay.
AP -3,
Okay.
1 damage.
Okay.
And each time you make an attack with it, you make 2 hit rolls instead of 1.
So yeah,
Double your attack.
So he has 12 attacks. So he's got 12 attacks at strength 6 -3 damage 1.
Yes. Or he can wield it two-handed. So that is strength times 2. So strength 8,
Strength 8.
-3,
Okay.
3 damage.
Okay.
It's very nice. It's really nice.
So he's good at clearing hordes
Yep.
and at clearing big stuff. Okay.
Yes.
That's nice.
His little attendants can also hit. If you just make 2 extra attacks with these, you can never make more than 2. That's it.
Yeah.
They're just strength 3, no AP, 1 damage.
Whatever.
The little
They're-
piddly token attacks
Whatevs.
to justify the models being on the base.
Yes. I think the extra wounds also justify the models being on the base.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But they look so cool on the base.
He also has a Crusade of Wrath.
He does have a Crusade of Wrath.
Don't forget that.
I did forget that. So it's an aura, 6-inch aura for core units. You get to add 1 to the strength of them.
Yes. So very similar to what he has now, but obviously he's on a much bigger base, so you get a wider range of it.
Which is nice.
Which is nice. Then we have Chaplain Grimaldus. Oh, also High Marshal Helbrecht is 160 points. You get a lot for 160 points there. He is of course Primaris, so fine. But his attendants, they get shoved in the boot of like the impulsor, so you don't need to worry about him taking up extra room.
Nice, good for them.
They hang on. They hang on the side. Maybe they one of them gives it a wax on, wax off as he's driving along.
Moving on.
Chaplain Grimaldus. Right.
Tell me how you feel.
Okay. I like Chaplain Grimaldus. He is a bad man. He's really cool. He also gives away 12 victory points for assassination.
Yeah.
Again, expect this to be FAQ'd, but the keywords are infantry, character, primaris, priest, master of sanctity, chaplain, and Grimaldus. There is not keywords for attendants. The attendants, the Cenobite servitors rather, are not a on his base thing. They are not tokens. They are actual models. They do not have a separate line for their keywords, which means they count as a character, which means that if he dies, he gives up 12 victory points. As a result of this, until it's FAQ'd, he will never be used, because assassination is just basically give up them points. I would have an agreement with your friend that no, the Cenobite servitors are not characters, because that's dumb, everyone. But whatevs.
Tell me how you really feel.
Okay. He is a Master of Sanctity, finally. So no, you can't double dip on him and Master of Sanctities anymore. Again, the weird jank like that has gone. He's got his 5 wounds, he's got his 4 attacks. Being a Master of Sanctity, he does his 2 litanies. He knows 2 other litanies. He can only know them from the litanies of the Devout. I'm not sure if that's different to now. Fine. His Cenobite servitors, his Crozius is an artist for Crozius, so it's +2 -2 damage 2. He gets his plasma pistol as normal. his Cenobite servitors, each one carries a certain relic that does certain things. The Scepter of Anointing, +1 to Litanies.
Very
Cool.
nice.
Fine. Wise Orator, basically, whilst that one is alive. You then have the Remnant of the Fallen Temple, which is nice. It's basically,
cool.
it's the big, like, eagle statue thing, but one of them is just like, oh my god, why did I show up to work today? This one's nice. Characters and core units within 6 inches of now this is the thing, it's of this unit. Litanies are specifically done from Grimaldus himself, so you can't use them to conga line out a big litany thing. But whilst you're within 6 inches of the unit as a whole, everyone gets a 6-up shrug. You already have a 5-up shrug against mortal wounds, but effectively you're a bigger, better apothecary.
Yay!
That's nice. And then the banner of the Fallen Crusaders, instead of going D6 for your advances, you go D3 plus 3. Remember, you're re-rolling advance rolls as a Black Templars, but a minimum of a 4 on your advance is really quite tasty. You can put the pressure on quite early. As normal, is Rosaria's spiritual leaders, the Cenobite servitors don't count. See, this is the weird thing. There's a rule specifically for the Cenobite servitors. Whilst this unit contains any Cenobite servitor models, each time an attack successfully wounds this unit, they must be allocated to one of these models. The destruction is ignored for morale tests. They cannot be the Warlord, and if Grimaldus is ever destroyed, they are all destroyed. But it does not say they do not count towards anything else or do not count as characters.
Yes.
Which is really frustrating. So again, expect that to be FAQ'd, or just play it like it's probably meant to be. He can deny a psychic power as if he was a psyker, and once per battle, when Grimaldus himself is destroyed, instead of like doing only Indefter's duty end or anything like that, on a 4+, he stands back up with 3 wounds remaining.
Nice. Nice.
He does a Celestine.
Grimaldus forever.
Yes. Doesn't need to be, he can't be within engagement range, has to be as close as possible, very much like Celestine. He's 140 points. He's a bit pricey, especially given the issue with assassination. I think once that's resolved, he's not so bad. Does he bring enough for 140 points? I'm not 100% convinced. Personally, his aura, like his buffs are nice. The fact that he's only Devout, Litanies of the Devout does make it a bit awkward. Like if he could recite 3 litanies, that would be cool. But he still only does 2. Like, because if he could do the 3, then you'd be like, right, he can do 2 of the Litanies of the Devout and then his Litany of Hate all the time. I'd be like, well, that's pretty good actually. I'm not 100% convinced on him like I am with Helbrecht, is kind of where I'm getting at there.
Maybe not Grimaldus forever then.
Maybe not.
But what is forever?
Oh, the Emperor's Champion.
The Emperor's Champion.
The Emperor's Chimp!
Why must you ruin everything?
Because that is my reason for living. Look, the Emperor's Champion is amazing. He's really good. He is a HQ. He does take up a HQ slot.
Yes.
There's no rule which says that he doesn't, which is a shame because I was really hoping to see that rule because basically the Emperor's Champion is chosen from the normal dudes.
Yeah.
Before battle, one of them goes into a religious fever and then the chaplains come along and they take him away and he comes back and he's in the armor and he's got the sword and he's ready to rock and roll. So it would have been nice if it's like, oh yeah, he doesn't take up a HQ, or if you have a chaplain, he doesn't take up a HQ slot. Whatever. He's a super company champion, basically. He is here as a beat stick.
He sure
and
is
a
super.
beat stick he is.
Well, he's just got a bolt pistol.
Is that it? Okay, well.
That's it. He also has his black sword. Again, 2 profiles with this. He has Sweeping Blow.
Clean.
Yes, please do demonstrate. Which is strength +3, so strength 7. AP -3, damage 2.
That's nice.
Yeah, quite nasty.
With his 5 attacks!
Yeah!
It's not shabby!
It isn't. And then he has Thrusting Strike. So this one is -1 to his hit roll. So you're hitting on 3s instead of 2s.
Fine.
But it's strength 8, AP -4, 3 damage.
Okay.
It's pretty
good.
Yeah, he has abilities too.
He's got a lot of abilities.
Yeah, he's got a lot of abilities. Yeah. He has a 4-up invuln save. He is -1 to hit in combat. Each time he makes each time he makes a melee attack against an enemy character, you can reroll the hit roll and wounds rolls. Sigmund's heir, that was very nice. He has Holy Wargear, so he can never be given any relics.
He doesn't need relics. He's already packing 2 of them.
Marshal superiority. At the start of the fight phase, if this model is within engagement range of any enemy characters, it fights first. And then honor or death. This model is eligible to perform a heroic intervention if it is within 6 inches horizontally and 5 inches vertically of any enemy unit. It can also move up to 6 inches for heroic interventions.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he does nothing other than murder.
I like that.
Now he's 100 points. He's relatively pricey, but 5 wounds, 2 up save, 4 up invuln, decent attacks, like rerolling hit wounds against characters. Like he is a murder machine for characters. He will not do anything else. Now here is an interesting...
I mean, he'll look cool.
I mean, he does look very cool. Now here is an interesting quirk about him. If he's your warlord, unlike most, because he's technically a special character, because you can only have one in an army, if he is ever your warlord, you get to pick his warlord trait.
Yes, you do.
You're going to give him that Paragon of Fury, that extra strength, and the shoulder barge.
Yes, I am.
So yeah. Or you can make him like slightly buff by giving him like, you know, frontline commander.
Yeah. Although I believe there's one he cannot take.
He can't take Oathkeeper because that gives you a 6-inch heroic intervention.
Which he already has, so it's pointless.
So, yeah, I really like the Emperor's Champion. If you can find the spot for him, I think he's really good, especially if you want to just, you know,
have a character killer
and be a cool dude. And
yeah.
you know,
Why
if you're playing Black Templars and you don't have an Emperor's Champion,
what's
like, are you even a Black Templars player? We then have Crusader squads. You've got the normal and the Primaris version. Yes, you can run a 20-man blob of Primaris Marines.
Yay!
That is as scary as it sounds. Now, obviously, some of them will be neophytes, so they will only have a 4-up save, but they're still toughness 4 with 2 wounds. So that would be 40 toughness 4 wounds to get through.
Oh, no.
If you were to run a full blob of 20.
Well, yes.
And they're still weapon skill free, ballistic skill free. And like literally the only difference between the initiates and the neophytes in the Primaris squad is they have a 4-up save.
Yeah.
The Primaris neophytes are equipped with a bolt pistol and a Astartes chainsword.
Okay.
Cool. You could give them a bolt carbine, which is a 2-shot auto bolt rifle. You could give them an Astartes shotgun. Nah. I'll keep my bolt pistol and my chainsword. Because they still got 2 attacks.
Yeah.
Like, it's a blender of a unit. It's such a big thing to try and chew through. Yeah. It's quite scary, actually. 40 toughness 4 wounds. And they're Primaris, so I'll put transhuman on them.
Yes. Yes, you will.
And if I'm doing suffer the uphold the honor and I've got a 5-up invuln on them, I don't care if I've only got 4-up saves. It's really scary. They're really scary. Is it competitively viable to run 3 units of them? I don't know, but it would look really cool, wouldn't it?
We'll figure that. That's a job for later.
Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, the initiates themselves are they're intercessors. You can give them auto bolt rifles or a bolt pistol and chainsword. Nice. One of the 2. They can take the Pyre Blaster. That was previewed on Warcom.
That's cool.
It's fine. And your Sword Brother can take various Wargear. Fine. Look, it's a 20-man unit of Primaris Marines. That's all I need to say. Crusader squad is exactly the same as it is now, basically. But they finally fixed the points. You're not paying 15 points for a Space Marine.
That's nice.
That's fine. They're fine.
Yes.
They're fine. And then you have another new unit, Primaris Sword Brethren.
What would you like to know, friend?
Everything.
Everything? I can run through everything if you want me to.
Well, they are Primaris veterans.
Yes.
So they're Primaris Marines with a Primaris stat line, but they get 3 attacks instead of 2.
Yeah.
Fine. They come as standard with a heavy bolt pistol and an Astartes chainsword.
Yes.
But you can give them lots of different weapons.
Yes. But do you want to know what I like about them?
What do you like about them?
I'm just gonna skip the weapon part. I like the fact that they ignore your passion.
Vowsworn Brotherhood, or Vowsworn Bladesman. Sorry. Yep, they ignore the passion.
It's really nice.
So if you do that with the Litany that puts another vow on them, you basically get
2 vows
benefits
without any penalty. That's really cool.
Which is really nice, right? Effectively, it's similar to what we've seen with like Plague Marine boxes and stuff like that. Is it will be based on what's in the box, and what we've seen from the previews is everyone seems to have a different weapon. So you get 1 Thunderhammer per 5.
Yeah.
You get 1 Power Axe per 5. You can have 1 power maul per 5. You can have 2 lightning claws per 5. That's as in 2 lightning claws, not you can have 2
with lightning claws.
2 with lightning claws. It's
you have
one guy
with 2 lightning claws.
That really cool one that's doing that. Wolverine style. His name will, of course, be Logan. Obviously. Yes. What you can do is give every single one of them a power sword instead of your chainsword.
That's nice.
I don't know if I would, to be honest, because
options.
It does give you options. It depends on what you want to do, because obviously you've got to pay the points for the power sword. It's not master crafted, so it's only damage 1. It will give you the extra strength and obviously the AP free, but your Astartes chainsword's giving you the extra attack. Yeah. It's already AP 1. Chances are you're going to be in the assault doctrine making them AP 2. I don't know. It depends on what you need them to do. It depends on what you need them to do.
Personal preference.
It is a personal preference. And that's it.
Yes.
Look, it's a powerful book. A lot of the janky stuff has been removed.
Which is good.
Unsurprising. You know. The flavour in the book is really good. I'm just really happy that they're so... The artwork, again, exists.
Behold!
It's still in there. As you're leaving the book, it reminds you how potent and powerful and awesome they are.
I'm so excited to kind of get cracking and get stuck in this army.
Yeah. They've got some nice options. They've got some nice utility. They feel like Templars. You know, is it going to rock the world? No. Is it going to be really cool? Yes. You know, so that's all that matters when you're running around with Teutonic Knights covered in chains and iconography and tabards and wielding swords and yelling vows to destroy the enemies of the Imperium.
It's perfect.
Like, yeah. Book's great, artwork's great, it's really nice. So thank you for joining us. Let us know what you think of the Black Templars in the comments section below. Are you joining the Crusade for the first time? Are you an old veteran of the Crusades and are you happy about these changes? Are you disappointed with the changes? Is there something that you would have liked to have seen? Continue the conversation below. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, give us some hobby love as we love you, and we will catch you next time.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. I love the fact that they've put the relics in the kit.
Oh, I want my bedroom plastered in this artwork.
That looks so good.
I will lift the scar.
What I love about it is the fact that it is mostly just the classical artwork.
It's really, really beautiful. What's next? I'm gonna have a heart attack.
It's power. That's what's next.